Welcome to Devotions from Israel, a 5-minute word of encouragement. Today's devotion comes from Mark chapter 4. Today's story and word of encouragement involves a storm. In fact, it was a storm that came out of nowhere. The context is the Sea of Galilee. This is a freshwater lake. It's about 13 miles in length and 7 miles at its widest point. Here in Mark chapter 4, the story that we're using today, the disciples were with Jesus in a small fishing boat. In fact, in 1986, a small first-century vessel was found on the western shoreline of the Sea of Galilee at a place called Naf Ginnasar. So these disciples and Jesus were heading over to this eastern side. It was evening when the storm came. Jesus said to his disciples, "Let us go over to the other side." Leaving the crowd behind, they took him along just as he was in the boat. There were also other boats with him. And a furious squall came up, and the waves broke over the boat, so that it was nearly swamped. Jesus was in the stern, sleeping on a cushion. The disciples woke him and said to him, "Teacher, don't you care if we drowned?" He got up, he rebuked the wind, and said to the waves, "Quiet, be still." Then the wind died down, and it was completely calm. He said to his disciples, "Why are you so afraid? Do you still have no faith?" They were terrified and asked each other, "Who is this? Even the wind and the waves obey him." The Sharkia wind is a wind that comes out of the east. Even modern-day fishermen on the Sea of Galilee know of this wind. It happens several times a year. So no doubt these seasoned disciples were anticipating smooth sailing across to the eastern side of the lake, and yet this didn't happen. This eastern wind took them by surprise. And their initial reaction, even though Jesus was with them in the boat, they woke him up and said, "Teacher, don't you care if we drowned?" It's as if today we go through the storms of life and we sort of forget that God cares for us. As Peter invites us to do so, cast your care upon him because God cares for you. And yet these disciples forgot that truth in that promise. And yet Jesus graciously gets up, he stands up, no doubt, and he says, "Peace, be still." And this eastern wind most likely calms completely, causing these disciples to really be in awe of who they were with, the master of the storm. You know, Jesus can be your master of the storm that you're going through right now. We're simply invited to cast our care upon him. The storms of life will come, some of them, if not most of them, unexpectedly. And yet we are to be confident that Jesus is with us. He may not spare you from the storm, and yet he will be yet with you through the storm. So be encouraged today with this story from Mark 4. Until next time, Shalom.